Hello, guys. Welcome to Comic Uno, and we're doing that kind of quarter live stream we usually do for our anthologies. The last one we did was Aces and Arrows. It seems like you guys like it, so we are doing another one for Witching Season, which we're super excited about. But I am going to pass the baton, my channel, to Phil, who is going to be the new Comic Uno for about 2 hours.
Hey guys, this is Comic Uno. I straightened my hair today, and I
Oh,
came
did
here
you cut it?
I straightened my hair, cut it. I grew some facial hair for you, all to get into the spooky spirit, so we could talk about Witching Season, our witch horror comic anthology. Maybe our most ambitious comic anthology to date. It's 150 pages, which is, I think, I think our previous biggest record was like 100 pages, 105 pages, and then 28 unique stories from some of the biggest names in comics. We're going to be joined by members of the creative team, contributors to the book throughout this stream. We're going to bring them in for 10-minute segments where they're going to talk about their stories and why they're important. And we're also joined by our third editor, Michelle.
Hi, I'm here.
She is
also
here.
Comic Uno. Hi. Straightened my hair, dyed it blonde, got some glasses.
Uno. You're Comic Uno. We're all Comic Uno. Yeah, that Michelle was such an instrumental part of building this anthology. It would not exist without her. It wouldn't look the way it does without her. So we literally it wouldn't be here. Before we bring in our first guest, I'm going to quickly take the screen. I'm just going to spotlight some covers because covers are awesome. And I think you guys are really going to like it, especially if you're really into the spec market. And if you're into spec comics, we got some really great cover artists. You can see our thumbnail here is our Sweeney Boo cover. Really exciting get. Skylar Patridge did our soft cover here. And then we also have the Sweeney Boo cover in full featuring Glinda from our Witches of Oz book. And we also have another hardcover edition by Jessica Fong. So, you're going to see a lot lower of a print run for any of these books than you'd see in the direct market. So like if you're into exclusives, you're into limited print runs, Kickstarter is the place to be. It looks like we're about the time to bring in our first guest. So
all right, here we go. Mark is here officially. How's it going?
Good morning from the future. 12 a.m. Scottish time.
Oh, wow. I can't believe we started the show in the future. We didn't even take a few guests in, and we were able to start.
We're time traveling.
When we first started collecting people for the live stream, I remember Mark was like, "That's so late. I'll do it." So we appreciate you staying up for us and keeping a smile, even though you're gonna pass out right after this.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not a problem at all. It's an absolute pleasure to be involved in the anthology, and I wouldn't miss this for the world.
Awesome, Mark. Why don't you tell everyone who you are, and then you could start talking a bit about your story. I'm going to share the Kickstarter page so people can actually see. Cover your mouth, which you were the writer of.
Right. So I'm Mark Abnett. I'm a New Zealander based in Scotland. I've been writing comics for the last 10 years now. Ooh, crazy. Lucky enough to be published by Image and Scholastic in New Zealand, Australia. And the story we're doing is Cover Your Mouth, and it's been drawn by Oesafa. And I do apologize if I've said her name incorrectly. It's one of those things when you read a name again and again, you get an idea.
We've talked to her so much, but not out loud to actually hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's done a magnificent interpretation of my script. And without giving too much away, it's sort of, I've got a quick note here. It's about original sin and signaling people out for being different, and the same mistakes that happen time and time again throughout time. We decided to go way back, and we looked at the Sumerian culture, predating Christ and the Catholic Church and everything. And Oesafa did quite a bit of research. And the idea originally stemmed, I knew the anthology was coming up, and Kat and Phil, you guys have been such great supporters of independent comics over the last couple of years and leading the way. And this idea stemmed basically from me having a chat with my partner. And what we usually do is we talk about an idea, and we go away for a bit. and she ended up having a dream/nightmare, and I've interpreted that into this story. It's a tricky one because with 4 pages, I don't want to tell you too much, and I don't want to give away too much. But as you can see,
the ending is good. We'll just say that the ending is worth the ride.
The whole thing is good, but especially the ending.
The end is good.
The end is good. So stay for the 4 pages to read it all. It's so funny because that is like, it is one of those stories that builds into something. So it's just like, oh, yeah, I can't say anything, but we promise it's worth it.
Absolutely.
I'll jump in and I'll say one of the things that I really loved about your submission right from the start, Mark, was the storybook quality of it. That, you know, right from the get-go, it's very much presented as kind of like an urban legend that you'd hear like in the schoolyard, like a Bloody Mary sort of thing, but also like a really original take, and also an emphasis on just the power of words, the power of storytelling, and, you know, the prehistory stylization. Like everything about it really jumped off the page, right? Even before we had the art, and then Yosefa did such a great job, you know, bringing it to life, giving us like really cool dynamic pages that show like every element of your story. And I love hearing that it's born out of a nightmare, like so many great horror stories are.
And I want to say, for at least me, because we all picked like different stories at this point, it was one of the first stories I was like, no, we need this in the anthology because it was so different. And I had known you before, Mark, so I know you were a good person, good creator. I was like, no, we need to add this. This is cool.
Oh, that's very kind. Yeah, it was really exciting, and I always tend to do a bit too much research as well. So you would have seen in the original script there was a whole lot of notes and links to all the Sumerian stuff, building it up. Luke, I do have permanent jet lag. I'm actually 12 hours away from New Zealand and Scotland, but I'm still in the future. So yeah, I've been in Scotland for the 15 years now, which is crazy. Wow. And I haven't got a single bit of a Scottish accent in me. So,
not even a little bit.
But yeah, it's, just doing those little extra bits of research always helps spin your brain and it adds more value to the story, especially when you're writing it. And Yosefa took some of that, which is great. I didn't want to bombard her with information. She presented the story absolutely straight out of my mind's eye. It was beautiful what you did.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Really love how it turned out. So you happen to be the first person on the stream, so I'm going to ask you this, and I don't know if I'm going to ask everybody else. It depends on your answer. But you know, what's funny when you're outside of the bubble of the anthology is that you see all these stories together, but really everyone's been working in isolation, and the first time all of our contributors get to see the anthology as a whole is when the Kickstarter page comes out. What was your impression of Witching Season when the Kickstarter first launched, Mark? What did you think about the other stories you saw, the identity of the anthology, all of that? Do you have any interesting thoughts about that?
I've done a number of Kickstarters myself, and I know for a fact as soon as I knew you guys were involved, I knew it was going to be a class presentation. So, you know, it's an easy one for backers to lapse onto and, you know, get really enthusiastic about, because the way you've presented the campaign and everything, it just invites you to share it and talk about it and communicate about it with others. The talent pool that you've drawn together, holy hell! I mean, honestly, I don't know how you. I do know how you did it because, as I said earlier, you guys are, I think, one of the eminent leaders of independent comics, especially in the States. And, you know, you're good at backing people and you're good at supporting others. And I can see why all these people came flocking to you. It's a testament to what you guys have built. I keep talking about you guys, but the campaign itself is absolutely brilliant. And as you said, only from the quick synopses, elevator pitches from all the little stories there, you can see how you've built it so it molds together so well, but it's not the same old each story. There's enough there to really latch onto. And I think, what is it? It's 150 pages.
I think 154 is our final count, but
I don't know how we did it.
Which is insane for this day and age. And it's done like it's there.
It's pretty much, it's like
but
2 or 3 stories that we're waiting for
Yeah.
art, but everything else has been finished, which is
We
also
should hopefully
crazy.
be done by the time the campaign ends. So we're
Which
trying
is
to really
just
put this one out the door.
That's unheard of, as far as I'm concerned, to have a thing of this size, this ready to go with this many people involved. How many people all up are involved?
59, I believe, when I counted.
I'm glad you had the count handy.
Oh,
I'm-
my goodness. Yeah, that's a lot of balls to juggle. That's incredible.
it helps having the 3 editors and such a great team. Everybody was so proactive, and you were saying yourself before, all the research you did, all the back and forth that you did with your artist. Just we had a lot of go-getters on the team who really cared about making their stories amazing. It makes the job of an editor a lot easier.
Yeah. But yeah, as I said as well, I think the tone and the mix of all the stories, it's a really powerful anthology, and you'd be silly not to back it. It's already off to an amazing start, and I'm sure we're going to crush it. So,
100%.
Yeah, we're really excited about it, and I think something like on that note, it's like kind of crazy to do for horror, because like we've done it before, like showing different genres, different tones for like all different genres, but to do it specifically for one genre, I think that was probably the most fun. Is just having different stuff with that.
Yeah.
Michelle kept us honest with that too. There were a few times we were like, let's put this really not very horror book story in here. It's really good, and she's like, it is good, but this is a horror anthology. It needs an identity. And we were like,
yeah, I was
I
was basically out there with like a ruler, smacking hands, being like, no, you can't have that one. It's really good, but it's not horror. And if you can't follow the prompt, you gotta go.
Michelle brought out Mean Mommy for us.
I had to. I always seem to have to, but on the other end of it, Phil brought out the guardrails on the budgets. I get a little wild, Mark. Please understand. I want everything to be really just over the top, incredible, just like big swings all the time, and that can get expensive. So unfortunately, I'm out here being wild.
We complement each other well for that. We're coming up to the end of Mark's time, so Mark, thank you for coming first of all, and why don't you tell everyone where they can find you, and say your name again for everybody, and thank you so much.
So it's Mark Abnett. You can find me at markabnettcomics.com. I've got a couple of books currently in the works. I've got a couple of books for sale. Moana Meets the X-Men, this book called This Land, which I think, Kat, you've first issue of that you've given away as a freebie a couple of times and some of the campaigns. That was published by Scholastic New Zealand Australia, and there'll be a hardcover of that coming out, full trade of that coming out before the live action Moana next year. So a bit of good timing that. Awesome. And you can find me at markabnettcomics.com, and I'm all over Blue Sky and Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, especially with a different time zone. I will have to rudely kick you out of the stream, but just know I care for you.
Thanks,
appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Bye, Mark. It was great chatting. Thank you.
Speaking of time zones, I think our next contributor also is in a difficult time zone.
Oh man, that's why we started a little earlier with some of the different time zones.
Hey, Elena, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone and tell everyone?
Hi. Oh, it's strange. See you. Before start, I just want to say I don't speak English very fluently, right? And I prepare a little speech, but don't ask me nothing, please.
That's perfectly fine. We'll let your art talk for you.
What?
We'll let your art talk for you.
Yeah, we're going to show your art, but please give your speech. You can give your speech if you.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Elena. I'm an artist from Italy, comics artist. This story I illustrated, it's called Familiarity with the Devil. It's a simple story, but powerful, yes, about especially emotional connection across the time. And the story, for me, create empathy between people and between our characters. This is a story that anyone can relate to. I've gone also through a difficult time, and I used to find comfort in book and in comics, and I really hope that reading this story can help someone who needs it, who needs help. Yeah. Edward, it's a bearded Edward. He's not here because he's Edward is a writer about the story. I love, absolutely loving work with him. He's a great writer and also a very cute person. We kept in touch since finish the story. And as this, I always loved collaboration like this because when good works, I like when good works leads good relationship. It's fine.
Awesome.
Yeah. Even in Italy. In Italy, I mainly work in self-publishing, and I honestly this is the part of the comics world that is sorry. When the people are driven by passion and just need to communicate. I love this, all this.
Us too. I think one of the best things about working on anthologies is that collaboration, is getting to work with people all over the world with all different experiences, all different passions, and really for this story in particular, which is very much about connecting over time. It's about a teenager in the modern day speaking to the ghost of a witch who died. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Especially in these days, for now. Sorry.
No, we appreciate it, and thank you for giving that speech that you had. We will give a little more information about the story, but we appreciate you being on, and thank you for all of the things you contributed to the story as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. All right. Thank you.
Bye. See you.
Bye. Thank you.
Well, there you go. We've had so many different people from different places, which is really, really cool. We have about 5 minutes before our next person goes on. I didn't want to, with the language barrier, I didn't want to have to, expand on the questions, but we can expand on the story. Exactly.
Yeah. Familiarity with the devil. It's like we were saying before, a story about a teenager in the modern day who, angsty teen going through some difficult stuff and uses a spell to connect with a witch from the Salem witch trials, and gets a little bit of perspective about the things that people and women in particular went through during that time. This is a story I really enjoyed and really fought for, and not that I need to fight much. Everybody really liked it. During the submission process, I really liked the authentic take on the witch trials, and
we really wanted a witch trial in general. Like that was something that was very important to us.
Absolutely, yeah. And I really liked the authentic take on the brutality of the witch trials, and the emphasis on how there's kind of a sanitized history that you'll see in when you hear about it in school, when you learn about it in school, it just becomes like much history, it just becomes kind of like dulled down by virtue of education. But I think the story did a really good job of putting into perspective a lot of those, like a lot of the historical context of the witch trials. So I liked it a lot. We got a lot of submissions about the witch trials too, so we had to narrow down a little bit. I think 2 in the end ended up making it into the book.
Yeah, but this was definitely a different take, which we really liked. So we do have Heather in the background, so if we want to pull Heather early, we could do that, and we could talk about
I think
story.
a puppy. So like
exactly, we need some time for the puppy.
Good to just
so
let Heather in.
We can really emphasize the puppy.
Oh my goodness! Look at the baby.
Aww.
I don't know if you can hear her.
But we can.
I think.
Yeah, we have lots to say.
Oh, she's so cute.
You wrote a story about a cat and you brought your dog on.
Well, look, witches are known for their familiar cats, so
that's true. We need some dogs.
And she's not mine. She's available for adoption. So, support this Kickstarter, but also support a puppy.
Support the puppy.
Add a tier for the puppy.
This is little Annabelle, and we're available for adoption through Positively Forever. And I'm gonna put her down because we're very cranky.
Okay,
we'll have more puppy time before I leave.
Better. Heather, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we could talk a little bit about your contribution to Witching Season.
Not that you need to introduce yourself, but just in case
someone
doesn't know who you are.
Okay, she just wants a normal life. Okay, she just wants to have a normal life.
She just wants a normal life where she could adopt some puppies or to have other people adopt puppies.
I think y'all just did a great job for me. I don't think I need to do anything. No, what do I like to say? I'm Heather Antos. If you like comics, you've read my work. I think that's enough. I think that's good.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I love it. Let's talk about your story, which we continuously keep calling Keeping It Familiar, but it's called Keep It Familiar. And I think
somewhere
I finally
along the way, I think we might have someone with the logo. I don't know what happened, but I'm glad we got it.
There was one sheet where it was wrong, and then it got everywhere.
And then it was wrong everywhere else.
It is fixed now. And I we got the letters today, and I double checked that it was correct.
Michelle showed me the logo, and I felt so bad. She's like, do you want to see your logo? And then I was just like,
it's wrong.
It's wrong.
I'm going to blame.
Wrong.
I'm going to blame myself somehow.
Actively wrong, yeah. But it's
I was like, no, you're right. Like, and it actually like deeply makes a difference. So like, I got it and was like, I'll fix it. It's not a big deal. Like,
if you read the
really
story,
not a big deal.
It really has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was like, I can rewrite it. It's fine.
No,
I would have loved to see that exercise in rewriting to make it work. But let's stop vaguely teasing the name. Heather, why don't you tell folks what this story is about?
It's about a witch's familiar and bad men. I don't know. I like to, as an editor, I like to keep things succinct.
I like that you went right to buzzwords.
Yeah,
familiar, man, very.
But yeah, no, it's when Michelle asked if I was interested in doing this story or doing a story in the Witch Anthology, for me, it's always like, well, can I think of something interesting that would interest me enough to write it? And there's been so much. Just various stories, comics, iterations, whatever around witches. I've edited, a few, like Redlands, being probably my favorite witch comic I've ever worked on, with Jordi Butler and Vanessa Del Rey. And, but I really loved the idea of getting to kind of tell a story from a familiar's perspective. What is a familiar? We still don't really know. I don't know if we quite figure it out in this story. But we definitely get to explore that a little bit. So yeah, I had two things with Michelle. I was like, can I do a story from the perspective of a familiar? And then also I will only do it if Morgan Beam agrees to draw it.
Which, I mean, look at that art.
Said, well, then you can only write it if Morgan Beam agrees to draw it. I think I flipped it around on you because I'm the biggest Morgan Beam fan. We'll fight for that title. I mean, look at it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I just shot Morgan a text and I was like, hey, I'm writing this 8-page thing about a cat. You want to do it? And she just goes, sure. It was great. So yeah, no, Morgan's super the best. And it was really interesting because the whole point of this is because it's an animal, because it's a, not a human, we're not speaking English, right? And so like trying to figure out a story that like all comics are visual, right? But this like specifically has to work solely without English text. And the only, things we quote unquote hear in this story are the words that an animal might possibly understand, like commands or their name or, things we hear over and over. So, which was a fun exercise, I think, for everyone involved. I haven't got to give my lettering notes. But it was, I remember sending the script to Jody and just being like, all right, have fun. Good luck.
Well, I'll say we saw the first pass today, I want to say, and it was really cool how she brought this story together as well. Say again, Phil?
I was saying that'll hit your inbox today or tomorrow, but it turned out great.
Literally, so you'll be getting it. It's one of the first stories that was lettered too, and it's just like, oh man, it
probably has the fewest balloons. It probably has.
Jody was like, "What has the least text?"
Yeah, honestly, it's not this one. There is another one that has less than this. Yeah,
that's true.
I have a lot of sounds in this one. Yeah, there's not a lot of talking, but there are a lot of sounds that happen.
And we know famously sound effects take less time than
they do.
Dialogue balloons. Yeah. So famously less time. So
famously.
One thing I really love that you did in this story was like putting the story from the familiar's perspective and, seeing that there's dialogue going in the background, but it's kind of blacked out and blurred except for a few keywords that an animal or a pet in particular might recognize, like, feed or whatever the case may be. As a cat owner, I was just like, oh yeah, I know when they understand a particular word and choose to ignore me. So,
well, where's your cat?
She was just banging on the door. That's why I turned my camera off.
Should have gotten Molly.
You know what? All right, I'm gonna get her.
Yeah, Molly. He has another cat, Oliver. I'll show Lenny, so it has to be part of this animal thing. But no, it really shows that how collaborative comics are. There we go. Psyduck's involved too. Yeah. I can't wait to see. I will say that I think if Lenny was by Psyduck, though, I don't know if Psyduck would live. I'm really sorry. I don't think Lenny would be a good girl. I think she might fight Psyduck. Lenny loves all her toys. Okay, there's Oliver. Oliver.
Molly ran away. So
is a little bit of the meaner one. But
well, he's an orange boy. That makes sense, I think, to everyone.
If one of them was a familiar that was going to go and kill bad men, it would probably be this one.
Yeah.
No, but Oliver has a kind soul, though. Like on the outside, she could be a little mean, but in the inside, she's a very nice girl.
If Julius is watching, he's mad that you said that.
Oh, wait. Are you saying she's a very nice girl and Molly is my number one?
He's in denial that there's any mean side there.
Molly, I don't love cats. I can announce that here. I'm not a big cat person. So Molly won my heart. That was your first cat. And I'm sorry, there's only room for one cat. And it is Molly. I am gonna get Lenny. And then that's my girl over there. That's Molly. Girl.
She came over. Look at the camera.
She's very cute.
They're one of your fans.
Hi, Molly. Hi.
Here we go. This is just the pet showing portion of the video.
Well, I mean, we have to. This is Lenny. She's very tired.
Oh, Annabelle.
That dog over there, not this dog. This dog.
Look at the puppy.
It'd be so funny if they started barking at each other.
Lenny, look, it's a dog. But yes, if you are looking to adopt a dog, you should definitely go check out that.
Look at her. Look at her.
She's very precious. How old is she?
She is about 9 to 10 weeks now. We think she's a pit bull lab mix. She's so sweet. We already know sit, lay down, stay. We know our name. We're mostly potty trained. We're still puppy. We have teeny tiny bladder.
She knows sit and stay. My dog is 1 year old and she doesn't know stay. No. She kind of knows sit.
She might know them, but she chooses to ignore them.
Yeah. I've trained both my dogs. I love working with these little babies.
Lenny should spend a weekend with Heather.
I think so, honestly.
Send Lenny away to camp.
She needs to go camp, I think.
Little Cadet Kelly time for Lenny.
All right.
She needs it. She loves her toys. That's all I got for you, is that she loves toys more than any dog. Yes, I'm talking about you. But there you go. That is the pet segment. So Heather, is there anything else you want to talk about with the story? Anything else you would like to plug?
I'm so excited to get to do this. I don't ever get to, not that I don't ever, but I very rarely get to be on this side of the comics creating table. So it was a really fun exercise and experiment to get to do, and just like kind of validating. Because again, like Morgan, to me, I'm like, you're a real comics artist. Like, I hope you don't hate this script. And she really enjoyed it. So that was very validating. But no, this was super fun to do. And just so honored to be a part of such a great creative like group of people to do this. Like, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so pumped for all of the other creators in this and all the other stories. I know all of you. Michelle works next to me all the time, and I was next to her while y'all were going through all of those submissions, and like, a lot of love is going into this book. So there
was a lot of submissions.
There was a lot of submissions. Yeah.
500 and something submissions.
It was 540, I think we had.
Just a few.
That's crazy.
Can I get one more question in before your time flies over? Do you mind? Do you have, was there a favorite part of your script that got interpreted either differently or the same in a way that like made you really excited that you can talk about without spoiling too much?
Oh, I know what you're going for.
Do you know what? I actually don't know what I'm going for.
Okay. There's the first page of my story for anyone of a certain age group who grew up with a certain Disney movie.
This page.
Not this page. This is not the first page.
Buy the book to see it.
But there it will pull up a very significant scene from a very famous animated movie in reference. I think that the most like, oh my gosh, art for me was the double page spread that Morgan did, where all the shit goes down. And this was probably, I think this was the first double page spread I'd ever written. So I was just kind of nervous in that regard on how it would all pace out. But Morgan did this really cool framing with like candles on the top. And as it darkened on the way down, there's all these like spooky eyeballs on the bottom. And it's super creepy and eerie and unsettling. And just like, it's super cool.
I'm looking at it now, and it is super cool. And you gotta wait for the book to come out to see.
You gotta wait for it. Yep.
Support it now. I mean, this is the best time to find out what we're talking about.
You're really gonna want to check it out, both for that first page and that 2-page spread. Because again, I apparently have to fight for this title, but as Morgan Beam's biggest fan, it's really incredible. She did an amazing job. I'm really grateful to be working with her again.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much. Let's see the dog one more time before you jump off.
Let's just say goodbye to Annabelle, everyone. And
come here. We're fighting a duck. Hold on. Okay. I lulled her in with a treat. Annabelle.
Oh, baby. Goodbye, Annabelle.
And this book has to fund so Annabelle will find a home.
Yes.
They're directly correlated.
Directly connected.
So
you love dogs and you love pets. Back this book.
Thank you, Heather.
As she chomps my finger. All right.
Thank you.
Guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. We do have our next guest as well. So I'm going to pop up Jazia.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. How are y'all?
Doing well. If you would like to
Fantastic.
introduce yourself and tell us about your story, that way I'm going to say this about everybody, but I also really loved your story. So.
Well, thank you. So I'm Jadzia Axelrod. I'm a comic writer. I did Galaxy the Prettiest Star and Hot Girl Once Upon a Galaxy and the upcoming Galaxy As the World Falls Down. And me and Matt H. Taylor did a story in this called 3 Pillars about 2 witches who have a run-in with a monster. And this was so much fun to write. And it was a delight to see Matt's pages as they came in, because boy, howdy, did they have as much fun with this sort of like monster in a ruined castle story, drawing it as I did writing it.
I remember for your submission, you and Matt had applied together. I remember you guys came in, I think, with some rough character designs too. You'd really already kind of built out this world and these characters in such a defined way that was like really interesting.
Yeah, we're professionals.
Oh, you are professionals. Did you guys craft the story for this anthology, or was it something that was ruminating before the submissions opened?
This was a story I had been toying with for a while. Because I love the idea of trans witches. That was number one with a bullet, a story I wanted to tell. And number two, I really like the idea of like an older trans witch and a younger trans witch, and like learning the ropes. And so when this opportunity came up, I was like, all right, now I have to think up an actual story with these characters. And I love a monster story. I love a body horror story. So that was my in. And I really wanted these witches to be heroic. I wanted them to be witches because I think witches are cool. The easy way out would have been to make them bad witches, make them the villains of the story. And I wanted them to be like cool witches. So they are cool.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Luz is like a badass and Yarrow is a dork, but adorably so. And it's really too bad all the horrible things that happened to them both.
That's part and parcel to being a writer, is making amazing characters and having horrible things happen to them.
And if you like action, there's a ton of action in this story. And that's actually something that's interesting. We don't have as many bad witches as you would think in this story. There's a lot of horror witches, but I don't know if there's bad witches, which is kind of cool.
We're usually on the side of the witch, even if they're doing something a little bad.
That's the vibe right now. You don't want to be anti-witch.
Especially with
She's
like
bad.
with like queer people. I feel like it's not actually like, this isn't an anthology that's only by people in the LGBT community, but we do have a lot of queer people that applied and that were invited in. And obviously the three of us, not to out anyone here, but like Kat and Phil and I are all a little bit, we have a little sugar in the tank. And I think like queer people just tend to think that the witches are the hot ones. And even if they're kind of evil, they're still like, no, she's perfect. She's never done anything wrong.
Right.
We're good. Me and her. That's fine.
I've been writing The Witch High for about 30 years. So
yeah.
You really have. The reason we did this anthology is because Phil's like, I just want to write a story about witches. I'm like, for you, anything. I do want to.
Well, no, you didn't. You were like, "What if we did a different topic and not witches?" You were like pointing away.
Phil. I told him originally I did want a different topic because I'm not as into witches as often. But I told Phil, I promise. The first thing he said, I want to do witches. I said, it's not my thing, but for you, anything.
and I think you're happy with what came out of it, even if it wasn't the topic you voted for right on the outset. And
I'm happy that horror kind of bended into it because I am a big horror fan, and that's something that's been really fun. I do want to answer this question from Jen. For the Kickstarter, does the physical copy also come with a digital? I might also be moving Ecuador next year, so I'm concerned it won't be able to be mailed here. It will be mailed there. We will work it out if you're moving to Ecuador. But yes, the digital book does come with the physical book. That's something that we really like to do with Kickstarters in general, is that we know Kickstarter books are sometimes more expensive than what you get at the comic shops. We want to make sure it is to your value, not just for a great book, but we sign the books. So all those books are signed, and we also give you the digital book for free with buying the book.
Absolutely. All right, Jadzia, a question for you.
Please. That's why I'm here.
One of the things that we really liked about your story in particular is that it centered around a master and an apprentice, which, believe it or not, wasn't something. I don't know if we got any other submissions for. If we did, it was the only one
I wanted. Maybe one or two others. Maybe
the grocery store one.
Yeah,
you're right.
One.
Yeah.
That was another one that made it into the anthology, but it wasn't as common as I expected. It was something I expected to see, a relationship I expected to see explored a lot. Was that intrinsic to you when you were crafting this story, or is that something that kind of like?
Oh, absolutely. That was the heart and soul of it. Because when you deal with witches, like there's the classic maiden, mother, crone, and in it, I forget how many. You kept taking pages away, so I don't remember how many pages it is anymore. It's like 2-3 pages story now.
It's a one panel story.
Right.
It was one time. Don't. I'm not a monster.
I'm clearly over it. I'm not concerned.
You wanted to confront us face to face.
But there wasn't room for all three. Like we couldn't do a full trio and like have everything happen. And then we lost pages, so we couldn't even do. Definitely couldn't have done it. So the crone had to stay at home, but to have this sort of mother and maiden idea, and to have a very different mother than we're used to seeing, someone who is an instructor and a teacher, but not necessarily feminine, and to have this like butch mother figure, and to have the maiden be this dork was just a nice little twist on that formula, and to have those two.
No, completely agree. Really found your story refreshing. I liked the pillars themselves, which readers will have to wait for the anthology to figure out why it's called that and what that means, and what being a trans witch has to play into that. But really, really love this story. Do you want to tell people where they can find you, Jadzia? Any other things you want to plug?
Don't. I'm in the woods deep.
You'll never find me. Internet. There's a meme on the internet that his sister really likes, where it's like, "Don't go to my house. Don't come for me."
It's the clip from the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie where it's like, "Don't call me. Don't come by my house. We're done." That's one of our goodbyes, along with your trash. You're never going to college. Look at your hair.
You're trash.
Feel free to steal any of those.
Yeah, so I'm at jedziaaxelrod.com, which I need to update because it doesn't have the information about this story, number one. So let's put that up there. And you can also find me on Blue Sky at planetx.bluesky.social. But if you just search for Jadzia Axelrod, I will come right up. I'm the only one with that name there. There are other Jadzias, but only one Jadzia Axelrod. And that's where you'll find me. And I'm not anywhere else, so don't bother looking. And if something happens to Blue Sky, you won't find me anywhere else either. I'm an old woman. I'm almost done with social media. Yeah. I'm gonna go find a crone and a maiden, and then we're gonna have a nice little coven in the woods. I'm gonna boil something in a pot, and that's how I'll live out my days.
Give me a call.
I think that's better than social media. Right? Yeah, I think that's the way to go for sure. But thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and we're excited for everyone to read your story.
Oh, I'm excited too.
Thanks for being here.
Really happy.
Thanks for doing the book.
Matt did an amazing job on the art, and it just really has that like sinisterness and luridness that I really wanted, and came out perfect.
We agree.
I agree.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining. Up next, we are going to be bringing in, if they are here, Tilly and Susan Bridges, who we've worked with before. Hello.
Hello. I think they're muted.
Hello.
There
you are.
Hello. Ladies. Why don't you introduce yourselves and then also tell us about your story?
I am Tilly Bridges. This is my wife, Susan Bridges. We write as a team. We are presently writing the Star Trek Voyager Homecoming series. We've worked on Star Trek Prodigy and Monster High and a whole mess of other stuff. And our story in this anthology is Whatever You Want. Yeah. I don't know how much we should reveal. It's a short
as much as you want, honestly. It's up to you.
Just don't read the script to everybody.
No live readings.
Panel one. Yeah, so this came about because the first script we submitted, Michelle said wasn't gay enough, and
out. I threw out the whole script.
I had a feeling that
get it out of here.
She's like, I need more gay in these pages, more gay per panel. So we came up with a completely new story, and this one is sort of an allegory for what so many trans people go through. In that, we spend our lives in society bombarded by these messages to think outside the box and break the mold and be yourself. And then as soon as trans people say, okay, I'm trans, society says, no, not like that. And so we thought that was a really great way to sort of tie into witches and, what society tells you about them and what may or may not be true. And so we sort of married those two things together.
Along with problematic parenting, which we know a lot about.
We sure do.
And again, we mentioned that you guys had worked on a story previously for Hairology. What was it like working on that anthology compared to this one? Was it different at all, or was it just kind of same old? Or how do you feel like the stories were different or similar in any shape or form?
The Hairology story that we did was more like autobiographical from something that I sort of went through. And I mean, I guess technically this is too. It's not directly autobiographical. It's something that, you know, all trans people deal with, and all like cis people in society also know what it's like to have those expectations laid on you, right? Where you have to be this kind of person, you have to be this way, you have to follow in our footsteps or whatever. So it was very different. I mean, this one it's got magic and witches, you know, the other one didn't. It was very, this is the real world, just what it's like going through it. So it was a very different experience. And I was really, really thrilled that we got to work with Rye Hickman on this, because they are so great. And we've been wanting to work with them for a really long time. And the pages are so beautiful.
Yeah, that was actually really cool, because this was the first time I think we got to work with an artist that we actually already knew, like met before.
Yeah.
Like we had met Rye at the DC party at Comic-Con a couple of years ago. And so it was really cool because we were already familiar with Rye's work and some of the other stuff that they did. And we were like, this is so cool. Like, you're super cool. And then we get to work together. And that's like actually the best part about working in comics, because like you get to work with people that you already are kind of fans of now and then. And that's like really fun.
Yeah, we didn't come with this prepackaged with Rye. They were sort of assigned to our story by you folks. And that was just like, it was a treasure dropped in our laps.
If there's one thing I'm going to do, it's always try to work with Rye Hickman. Like, I'm totally normal level of obsessed with Rye. Totally a normal amount obsessed with Rye. And I'm always going to try to be working with them because I know how good they are. And when we were looking for an artist to pair up with the script that you sent me, and how touched I was by it. Like, I know we went through a couple people, but I think like Rye in the end was the absolute perfect choice, and it just sort of worked out that you wanted to work with them. So it's it's just part of our, you know, part of the circle of anthology comics, that sometimes things just work out really beautifully. So really happy for that.
Yeah, beautiful serendipity. It's a thing. Sometimes we need more of that in this world. So.
And they really brought the horror vibe, like in super cool ways.
I think that one of my favorite things about this story is the way that it balances the horror, but also like the tender and, you know, I hesitate to say cute because that doesn't feel like it fits this anthology, but a little cute too. I really think that both of you as writers and Rye as the artist balanced all those elements so well. I want to ask about the original story you submitted, if you're open to talking about that.
Sure.
It was one we really liked. It was Lovers Across Time, if I remember correctly.
We just so happen to have another Lovers Across Time story.
It happens.
Do you want to talk about your inspiration? Do you want to give like really quick log line for that, whatever you remember about it? And B, you want to talk about what your inspiration was for that one? Because we really like that as well.
Oh, yeah. It was about these two witches that were taught to hate each other by society, and that they had to fight each other in order to maintain their immortality. And so they would meet up again and again and again throughout the decades, always doing this fight, growing closer to each other despite themselves, and then realizing that I don't actually hate you. Society told me to, and so I did, but that's not me. That's not who I am. I don't want to hate you. I think I actually have feelings for you. And, you know, if they both feel that, and then they're like, if we stop fighting, we will lose this immortality, and it will mean that we'll die. And then, you know, the point of that is that I would rather die with authentic love than live forever hating. You know, that was sort of the nut of it.
Yeah, and then they go through the decades together. And we can definitely turn that into something.
Nothing's ever wasted. It'll go somewhere.
That was my next question. I was like, I hope you do something with it, because we did genuinely love it. We loved the way you moved across time. We loved the quippiness of it in the relationship. And, you know, I hope you find a home for it. Maybe even a volume 2 if this one hits its funding goal. And
maybe.
Then
I'm back.
They could stand to work
this, so we can have a volume 2.
I'm going to put it on the writer board.
Okay.
But yes,
it's actually
this one. There could be more.
Exactly. And it is interesting because we had a submission actually for this anthology. It was like sports related and we really loved it. And then it's just like we couldn't fit it in. And now it's going to be in our next anthology.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. So it was cool how that worked out. So you'd never know where
just because the story doesn't make it in, especially in this one where we had 500 submissions, doesn't mean we didn't love it. So we wanted to throw that out
so
there.
It blew my mind. That is so many submissions. I don't know how you got through them. You are superheroes.
Yeah.
A lot of
I don't know either.
Well, everyone deserves a shake, right? So we had that many submissions, but you never know who you've never heard of that's in the inbox, right? So it's really important with stuff like this. When you have open submissions, everyone has the same weight. So it's really important to look at everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's also why this book is so long.
So well done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
I think that we could start to wind down. So do you guys want to tell folks where they can find you?
You can find all of our writing work at birdguest.com. There's links to all of our work up there across every medium that we work in. And mostly outside of that, I'm on Blue Sky at Tilly Bridges.
And I am on Blue Sky, Instagram, Susan L. Bridges.
That's basically us.
That's it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love the link in the name.
Because we have 2 minutes, just because I think the audience would be interested in it. How do you feel like working on a short story like this is different than your TV work that you've worked on? Obviously, like I'm guessing the length, but how else do you feel like it's different but similar, just for people who are interested?
Well, they're both visual mediums, but comics is very different where there's no motion. It's still pictures, one after the other. But as in like animation, when you work there, you've got to convey actual movement. Things have to keep happening every couple of lines, especially in children's entertainment, or you're going to lose their interest. That you can't just have 5 minutes of two heads talking on an animated show. So,
but yeah, it's nice to feel like you get to direct it a little, and you're just focusing on the key images and the key things you want to convey, and that's you have to really choose carefully.
Yeah,
and that can be really hard. But yeah, it's a fun. I mean, we've worked in like almost every medium, so everyone has their thing.
Yeah,
so
there are pluses and minuses.
Yes, but I think it's really helpful to have that breadth of experience because it helps a lot with so many different things that you don't even realize when you're putting stuff together. The visuals and the dialogue and everything comes together in its own way.
They're all bits of the tools in your toolbox.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Love that.
Awesome.
Thank you. I just thought that'd be a cool see question, but thank you guys. We are going to jump into the next guests and go check out their story for sure.
Thanks
for having us.
Bye. See you soon. Bye.
All right. So our next guests are actually two people as well. We'll go on, Phil.
No, I was saying the same exact thing as you. We got a team coming on now.
There we go.
Ann and John, thank you so much for joining.
Hello.
Hi, Ann. Hi, John.
Hello. Good evening.
Hi. Thanks for having us. Hey, John, it's good to see you. We haven't FaceTimed in a long time. This is
likewise. Yeah. I like your background. Very
thank you. Oh, this? Oh, you don't have a bad signal room?
That's a virtual background, I'm sure.
We should start with that actually. How do you guys know each other? Why did you guys team up for the story with each other?
Story. You want to tell them?
Yeah, can I just start it? You take over. We met auditioning for Dracula in high school.
Wow.
So take it away, John.
Yeah. Well, I'm still a little bitter because he got the part. He got Renfield, and I didn't get the part. I didn't get anything. But
were
then
you both auditioning for Renfield, or were you auditioning for Dracula?
I wanted Dracula so bad, and
but we did a scene together in the audition, and you were Van Helsing, and I was right.
Yeah, it was.
But then John did the posters, and it was during my art period that John was doing the posters, and I was like, "Wow, John can draw! Look at that! that guy from the Dracula audition that didn't get the part can really draw." And then
you tucked that away.
The same comics, and
then we met later. We were in a play together the same year. We were both cast together. Then we went to our first comic shop together, got a sub. And then we were like, "Oh, we're nerd friends forever, and we're gonna be talking about comics for the rest of our lives." I guess. And here we are, some decades later.
I love it. I wasn't expecting such a storied history answering that question. So.
And also horror related. I didn't expect
there you
that.
go.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of fun.
Our relationship has been a horror.
Yeah.
Amazing. Why don't we talk about your story? Dan, why don't you start, and then John, you can kind of jump in and just talk about what the story is, what your inspiration was.
So Unbundled Sticks is our story, which the title itself is already a play on tyranny, and the trying to get into the headspace of a witch story. I went down the path of how much overlap there is between what a witch is and what a book is, and then maybe I'm just a one note protest singer, but that immediately was like, okay, that's the story. Like, I already know where we're going with it. It's about book banning and why book banning is a fascist tactic that's destined to always fail. And look at how nice this looks. What John's art looks like.
There we go.
It's sadly relevant. That was something when we were reading it. It's like, oh man, people are going to really relate to this. And it's like, oh man, I wish people wouldn't relate to this because we don't want to be dealing with this type of stuff. But it felt very grounded in that way, where it's like, okay, this is a very powerful story, especially because it's only 2 pages. So it's like you guys fit in a lot in a very small
John, I think John said when he read the script, I sent John the script before I sent you all the script, and he said, well, I'm glad it ended the way it ended because the story was really bumming me out. It was
Yeah, and I was really like you guys. I mean, I was struck by how it is a pretty short story, but it really packs an emotional punch. And sadly, it's too relevant today. But Dan's always got an eye towards, important issues and things that are relevant and important, and not necessarily, this isn't necessarily a fun story, but it does start with something very dark, but it does give you hope. No spoilers, but there is an exciting, wonderfully done in 2 pages, kind of a setup and a payoff of despair and hope that I was so interested immediately in illustrating the story, and it was so vivid just from the script. So I was happy to be part of it.
100% agree. I think one thing we can reveal to you, I don't think we've said this, is that I think this might have been the first story we accepted into the anthology.
Yeah,
we were so excited, and we're very honored.
It was such an easy yes, because you pack so much in. It was only 2 pages, yet it felt like you used those 2 pages as much as you possibly could. It's
also really original. It's obviously it was the only submission out of 600 that related to book banning. So it was just like, it was a very original story.
A powerful parallel between, classic witch burning and then like modern fascist tactics. It's such a, when you hear it, you're like, oh, duh, like that parallel exists, but it's not something we saw among the submissions or see really raised as a topic amidst all of the fascist things we see in the world we live in.
Yeah, I found myself when I was penciling it and illustrating it and going over the script, it was making me pretty angry. It was like, this is really stupid that this is really the same metaphor that's going on right now, arguably as bad or worse than ever. And it's like, but I think one thing Dan does nicely in the story and the script is that awareness of like, you can't destroy it this way, and you can do harm, but you can't kill ideas, you can't kill freedom.
And I think you put up earlier the very first panel of the story, and I just want to brag about how good it looks. Like in the script, it said, "This is a setting that could be 400 years ago or 2 weeks from now," and John obliterated it, nailed it.
I remember that note in the script, and I remember being like, "Wonder what that's going to look like."
Yeah, well, I did text Dan. I was like, "How?" He was like, "Suspenders," but yeah, I was like, "It looks a little." Yeah, I wanted, in the houses, there's no wires or anything. It could be rural, but it could be. I tried to keep it as big as possible, but yeah.
And you were talking about the inspiration also, John, for you have like a mood kind of.
Yeah, when I read, I'm a big fan of Robert Eggers, the director, and the movie The Witch is, I think it's a great movie visually and thematically. And I was that first panel, I was really bending over backwards to try to get it to look. I wanted to look like I wanted these first two panels to look like a Robert Eggers scene in a movie, just kind of this moody, misty, somber scene where there's this feeling of dread. It seems peaceful, but I wanted this feeling of dread that's building. So I don't know if I did it, but I spent enough time on it.
No, nailed it, I think.
Yeah, the lighting. I love the lighting in that first panel, like of just the light coming through the trees. It really just feels hazy and kind of ominous. So it sets the scene really well.
And the way it gives way to such like the powerful fire colors, I think it's just a striking page when you look at it as like a whole as well. So, just really can't say enough nice things about this one. It's amazing how much both of you, we talked about from the script side, but also from the art side, how much you guys accomplished with 2 pages. I wish I could show the other page, but then we've showed the whole story. So.
Well,
yeah. Don't do it,
especially
Phil.
for this one.
About spoilers.
Go back the book.
Yeah, you want to see the rest of it? Go check out the campaign.
Go to the Kickstarter. Yeah.
I think you guys.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to ask: have you participated in anthologies before? Or was this your first experience in an anthology?
We were.
Yeah,
we were recently in the last anthology we were in together was the Limit Break, Wished Upon a Star anthology. I think that's what it was called, right? And we were in we did like John had a story and I had a story. It was a one like Cybersync, I think it was called, John.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we've worked on.
Oh, did you freeze, or is that someone cast a spell on Dan?
I cast the spell apparently, but you guys have been around the block in the anthology department. Is the answer to that question?
Yeah.
Well, we're very excited because we fantasize about doing comics for quite a long time, and none of our things. We never did the Batman graphic novel we thought we were going to do, but now in our seasoned years, we're actually doing anthologies. We're so excited to work together. So it's
never say never. I see the bat signal in your present, so I can see it in your future too. Awesome. I think we're winding down. So why don't you both tell folks where they can find you if they choose to? Dan, if you want to go first, and then John.
I'm exclusively on Blue Sky. That's the only place you can find me. And if Blue Sky goes away, I will be just pitching things in the Yahoo comment, like the comment section of Yahoo News stories. So look for me there. And my last comic, I have a book coming out right now that just crowdfunded La Hermana, but my last comic, Vengeance Must Die, is in the digital bundle. So pick up the digital bundle of
see what we did there.
yeah, get that in there.
Bundle.
John.
It's all about the bundle. My portfolio website, you can see some of my comics work. It's just my name, johnkissy.com. And I'm on Blue Sky at jkissy.blueskysocial, and on Instagram, John_Kissy. And I have a graphic novel called Dr. Rigby from Markosha Comics. That's sort of a retro adventure 60s spy thing meets weird Lovecraft horror. So check it
Gorgeous.
out.
Love it. Well, thank you guys. We are going to bring in our next guest, but thank you for your great story.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you all.
guys.
Thank you very much. Great meeting you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty. We next are going to have Alex Segura. So
there you go. Alex is in the background.
It's me.
Hello.
I burst in.
Hey.
Thanks, guys. All my favorite people are here.
And in the background, you had multiple computers going on. It was crazy.
No, this is the timing. It's like peak timing in the house, like feeding the kids, and my wife forgot her keys, so like letting her buzz it. It's just the joy of family life.
The joys of 8 o'clock at night and
Exactly,
the house is rumbling. But thank you for coming on, and we'd love to hear more about your story. Tell everybody what your story is about.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me as part of the anthology. I've been wanting to be a part of one of these for a while, and Michelle invited me, and it was, I'd never worked with Tench before, but they did an amazing job, and it's kind of a twisted tale of revenge, starring a not so teenage witch when she comes back home to realize a little detail about something she thought she knew the resolution to, and it plays a little bit with some recognizable tropes, like Archie tropes that I'm a fan of and fond of and have written myself, and so it was a nice twist. There's also a little hat tip to longtime readers of my stuff, and there's a recognizable character at the beginning, but I don't want to spoil that for them. And yeah, I mean, it was just a fun collaboration. It was pretty breezy, and the final art looks fantastic, just like the colors, and really moody and just nice suspense, which I'm a fan of. And I think the who doesn't like a revenge storyline?
I totally agree. And something that was really interesting was that you did do more of a Marvel style script for it. So what was your decision behind that? Compared to the regular, not regular, but the DC style that you tend to see these days.
Yeah, I think most of my work for hire stuff is full script, which, because the editor wants to see basically how you visualize the script and sign off, and it's their characters. But whenever it's creator owned, I try to do more of a page breakdown, and that way I can really let the artist direct the movie. I'm just the screenwriter, and then the artist can kind of cut loose and get creative. They know the basics of what I want to do, and then as long as they deliver that, they can do what they're much more adept at than I am, which is the art and this kind of the cinematography and the costume design and everything else. When needed, I can do full script, and I don't have a problem with it. It takes a little more time, and I sometimes feel like, oh wow, I'm taking this creative opportunity away in some ways from the artist. I'm kind of telling them what to do, but even when I do full script, I always preface it with, if you have a better way of doing it, do it your way, because I'm sure this thing that I thought of on paper, words on paper, is not as cool as a visual idea you're coming up with as you draw. So
I love when an artist takes that initiative, because especially if you don't have a filmmaking directing background, right? Like we're writers, we're more on let's say the screenwriting side. Unless you're a director, the artist a lot of times does figure out a better angle than you initially had thought. Exactly. And I love when they do that.
Yeah, and it just, I think some artists too hesitate, and they're like, well, I'd rather just have a full script because they want that direction, and that's totally fine too. But I found that 9 times out of 10, an artist is willing to just jump in and make those big decisions, and are probably going to make better choices than what I would make.
And I know Tench is not here, but I can speak to the conversation that I had, and I was like, hey, Alex wants to write this Marvel style. Is that okay with you? Because you were like, can you ask? Can you just check?
Yeah.
And so I did have I had a little quick chat with Tench, and we've been working together since I started working in comics. Just a little background and quick shout out to her is she's the first artist that ever worked on a script that I wrote, and we've just stayed close since and become good friends, and really appreciative of her talent, and watching her develop into the incredible artist that she is now in comics has been really fun and just a joy to watch. And she was kind of apprehensive at first, what does that mean? I don't know if I want to do that type of, I'm used to the full script. And but then we sent her some examples, and we're like, what do you think? And she's kind of like, yeah, I'm into this. Let's give this a try. Let's figure it out. And I think she's done a really great job. So I can say that you, despite you saying you're not giving a ton of information, you're a very good writer. I'm not sure if you know this. I'm not sure if you know, Alex, that you're a really good writer, kind of. And but I think you did give enough information to sort of lead her to be able to use her brain to come up with the great creative ways to do things. You gave a lot of good info. I think it was a great script, and that's really going to show in all the pages, which you have to back a Kickstarter to see.
Yes, you have to back this project to see the final story. But yeah, when Tench sent the layouts, I was like, okay, she gets it. This was I knew she would, and I had faith. And usually what I try to do when I'm doing something like plot first is give enough detail and kind of activate the muscle of the cinematic part. And I think once an artist I don't want to say that she'll forever want to work this way, but it's really a fun way to collaborate, and it's much more organic, and it's much more entertaining when you're doing it this way. And it tends to be with creator-owned stuff, because I do it with a lot of collaborators I've worked with a long time, like Sandy Jarrell or David Hahn, and people that I know what they're going to do, and I kind of trust them. It's a trust thing, and I knew you had worked with Tench, and so I figured if she was open to it, it would be a fun little project or a fun way to do it.
For sure.
I want to ask about the story concept itself. So, as someone who has lived in the Archie space pretty heavily, is this particular story, this revenge Sabrina Spellman-like character, something you've been itching to tell? Is it something that came to your mind when you first heard about this anthology? What's the origins?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Archie characters. I love doing kind of homages, not only to Archie, but the iconography of superheroes or different genres, and just like, what is my riff on this? Like, the Dusk is in many ways like my take on Batman or Daredevil, and what you add something to that alchemy and come up with something new. So when Michelle mentioned witches, I was like, well, that would be fun to do a Sabrina riff, but not just do like a high school Sabrina riff, like Sabrina as an adult coming back home and grappling with something. But it's not Sabrina. As you start writing the story, it becomes your own thing. So I was a big fan of this. Not a big fan of. I have a very direct memory of this TV movie. I don't know if you guys remember it, called To Riverdale and Back Again. It's a terrible TV movie with the Archie characters as adults. Like, they have to come to this like high school reunion. And I remember being so excited as a kid because I was an Archie reader, and I was like, oh my God, they're going to make a TV show of Archie. And I remember staying up late to watch it, and it was a disaster. It was like, it's one of the worst things you'll ever see. And like, it's kind of funny in the it's so bad it's funny way, but it was a huge, like, I used to, when I worked at Archie, I used to say it was like my first disappointment, like my first like creative disappointment, like watching this thing. So, but I think about the idea a lot, about like, what are they doing as adults, like middle-aged adults or like youngish adults, like what is their life like? And you see a little bit of it with like Life with Archie, but anyway, that's what was in my mind at the time. So hopefully it makes for a fun story.
I love it. Awesome. I think we're running to the end of our time. So why don't you tell folks where they can find you, as if it's not easy to find you.
Yeah, no, I'm on Blue Sky and Instagram, my website, alexandrea.com. Please back this Kickstarter. It was really a fun project to work on. And I've got a bunch of stuff coming out. I'm writing Star Wars, Dick Tracy. I've got a Daredevil novel coming out in March, and probably 10 other things I'm forgetting. But it was really cool to be a part of this.
You got some.
Oh, is that all? That's it?
Yeah, all that.
All the things. But
thank you so much, Alex. Thanks for your story, and thanks for coming in and joining us for the live stream. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime.
Awesome. All right.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
All
right. Now we have Abby, who's in the background. Hello,
Abby.
Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Yeah. We saw Abby at New York Comic Con, and I should mention, just for Abby, and no one else will care about this, maybe one or two, but we are recording the Legendary Ladies tonight. So,
good.
So Abby, why don't you introduce yourself? This is your first comic, right?
Yes. This is my first comic, first published, like paid for writing that isn't marketing related. So it's great. Yeah, so I'm Abby. I'm a filmmaker, writer, photographer. I do a whole bunch of things. I've mostly been working kind of in the marketing realm for the past 7-8 years. But I've always I went to film school to do narrative, to build worlds, do fiction, fantasy kind of things. And I finally left all of my corporate jobs this year and decided to go into the world of freelance and
I love it.
Going and actually doing storytelling. And so when I saw you guys, I mean, I've been a listener to your podcast, Kat, for a while, and I've backed a couple of the other Lifeline comics, and I've been reading and familiar with that. So when I saw the open submission for a horror witch anthology, I was like, I have to make sure I get a script in. I have to make sure I actually finish a script, and it's not just my millions of note pages that are just scattered all over for stories. Because horror is one of my favorite genres, and I really, really wanted to play in that realm. So my story, it's called Till Life Do Us Part.
I don't want to give too much away again too, but it centers around a grieving widow who lost her partner, and she's kind of tired of living the way her life is right now, so she seeks help from a divination witch, and they get an answer that no one was expecting when she goes to talk to this divination witch about trying to change things.
And did this scratch an itch to be like, now I want to make longer comics? Do you feel like you're going to focus on other narratives? Like, what did this be like? Are going to submit to more anthologies? Like, what was the thought process after writing this?
Yeah, oh, this definitely scratched an itch, and it's continuing to just like, I'm like, oh, my gears are turning again for a lot of things. So I come from a film background, so I've done film scripts, a lot of like short form media in terms of that realm. I'd love to do more of that, but I really, really want to do more comic stuff as well. I'm a big comic reader. What got me into comics was X-Men stuff, so I'm like huge into that realm.
Kitty Pryde right here.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. My tattoo, my whole tattoo is Kate Pryde. So but I'd love to do more comics, short form anthologies or long form. I'd love to try my hand at that stuff too, but this really started scratching the itch of what I've always wanted to get into, but kept not finding the time to do so. And now I finally made time to do all of what I actually want to write and make.
I'm going to interrupt everyone because it's really important for this story in particular, because I came to the table with like somehow holding 7 or 8 weapons, I think. And I was like, somehow. And I was like, this story is going in the book and I will take both of you out if you disagree with me.
We've actually been resurrected.
I just need you to know, I came ready to fight. I didn't have to fight, but I came ready to fight because there was something about your script that was like haunting in a different way to me. And I think it was important to have different perspectives on the way that things can be scary. Like a different kind of horror, and you have to back the book to see what I'm talking about. But like, but also like I appreciated so much like the different sort of perspective on scary. And thank you for finishing this script because I mean, I know I was on Blue Sky like while I was reading scripts and like making lots of comments about like, oh no, I cried. Oh no, this is the best. Oh no, this portfolio. Oh no. But this is definitely one of the ones I was talking about when I made comments about just like something just being so deeply like heartbreakingly sad. And I think like if anyone who knows me knows that I'm always like a little more sad and tragic than I need to be in terms of what I'm reading and writing. And this really, I really connected with the script. So I'm really happy that you submitted it. I'm glad that you're here with us tonight. And I think Sarah's art on the story is like a perfect complement to what you wrote. And I think it works really well. And I'm really excited for everyone to see it.
If I remember correctly, Sarah was didn't apply through the form. It was a recommendation from you, right, Michelle? Were you picturing that from the beginning, or does that kind of come to you after?
I think when I was reading the script and I was trying to think of like what type of style this needed, and it needed something a little more wispy, a little more ethereal, I think, just to match the sort of haunting vibe of it. So I think like I worked with Sarah on When I Was Young, which was my previous anthology to this one. She drew a story that I wrote. So I knew that her brain would work well with this type of narrative because it was the story from that book was also kind of sad and definitely different. So I thought she would do a really good job with this. And I really think that she did. I'm really glad that we got her on board.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Like she surpassed what I saw in my head for it. And like every time we'd send a new page and I get it, I'm just like opening an email, kicking my feet. I'm like, yes, like this is perfect. Like it's exactly like the look and the vibe of what I was feeling for the story. She gets the emotions through like perfectly.
Yeah, incredible.
I also need a comment on your shirt. Let's make a slasher movie. I hope that's your next. I hope that's your next. Your next project is a scream slasher movie.
We'll see. I love the Scream movies. I love the meta commentary aspect on the horror stuff. So
What's your favorite Scream though? Because we're both big Scream fans as well. So
I mean, the first one, the original, is
Disregarding the
probably my
first
favorite. If I can't pick the first one,
Yeah, favorite sequel.
my favorite one is probably, and I know this might be unpopular to some people, but I love the third one because it's like
Ooh.
has to do with the movie and like bringing all that in, and I'm just like, yes, give me all
I
the stab
respect it.
stuff.
I respect it. I disagree with you, but I respect it.
That's okay. I know people
I'm
disagree with me, and that's okay.
I do love actress Gail Weathers. I think she really makes that movie for me.
I will say that I think the third one is better than the fifth. The fifth one, is that what we're
The
up to? The
fifth
sixth
one
one
is
was the
one
last
we-
one.
the sixth
So
one
yeah, the
is-
fifth one. I didn't like the fifth one, but I like the sixth one, and I love the fourth one. So I love me some Emma
The
Roberts.
fourth one's
So-
good too. Yes, yeah.
Well,
But I
thanks
had to
for joining our
ask.
Scream podcast.
Yes.
Amazing.
all right. Well, Phil, do you have a last question?
Yeah, I'll ask. You already said the writing bug has hit you. Do you have any other projects in the works now that you're really excited about, or you're still kind of ironing things out?
I'm still ironing things out. I definitely have ideas that I want to get more formulated and started. I do know other friends who want to get into comic making and stuff, so this might be good to kind of gather some people who all want to try to get into this and with connections. But I do live performance and acting and things too right now, so that's kind of what I'm doing for the rest of the year. I'm doing Halloween and I've got Christmas seasonal things, so I'm kind of focused on that at the moment.
Awesome. Well,
I
we
love it.
do anthologies at least twice a year, so always looking.
We still have our women's sports too for another
Yeah, like a day
day.
to register for that one, and women's looks-
Okay. For you, my DMs are always open. So please reach
Okay,
out. I'm always
okay.
working on something. And I feel like, I don't know,
Here's
I
my
feel
DM.
like we should talk more. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you want to chat about making more comics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will.
Please.
I will take you up on
Because this has
that.
been working with you has been great. So yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for
What's the
joining.
cat's
Tell
name?
This is
is there a
Reggie.
cat?
Yeah,
Reggie?
he's over here. He's
Oh,
jumping around.
geez.
He's doing what he wants. But
Well,
And
hi,
echoed
Reggie.
on all our parts. Michelle, me, Phil, it's been such a pleasure working with you.
Ready?
And yeah, we want to see you succeed. And that's like honestly the best part of these anthologies is the newcomers. It's the person who made their first comic, and then you see them 2 years later, 3 years later, and it's like they have this whole booming comic
there he is.
career where you love that.
Mhm.
So
Awesome.
any other plugs that you have, Abby, before
Yeah,
before
let
you
people
go?
know where they can find you if you have anywhere you want
Yeah.
to look.
I live mostly on Instagram and Blue Sky these days. You can find me at Abby Frisco. It's just my name, ABBEYFRISCO. I make it really easy to find me. If I'm doing more writing stuff, you'll find it there. I do cosplay photography. I do all that kind of stuff. I try to get to conventions. I do X-Men cosplay. I'm very involved in the X-Men community. So if you find me there, I will be doing things there.
Love
Awesome.
it. Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon, Abby, and go check out.
Mhm.
their
Thanks for
story.
joining.
Thanks, Abby.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
No problem.
Cool. All right. Up next, we have Michael Barron of The Witch of Hollowed Creek.
Hello.
Hello, Michael.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing
Great.
well.
How are
Thank you for
you?
joining us.
Just to give you guys a heads up, my cat is on the armchair, like right here, looking like he might spring in and like press
Well, we
when
named
that
the
happens, I'll
cat.
scream enjoy. So.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
far,
little
the
time
cat
thing.
count has been higher than the dog
Mhm.
count. Only me and Heather have had the
We,
dog so far.
Kat and I did an audio commentary for one of our past anthologies recently, and we were doing a cat and dog count as we went through the stories. And
Who won?
I don't remember who won.
The cats won by one, but
Ah.
I think when we do the witch anthology, I don't think there's that many cats or dogs in the stories, but if we go through this live stream, the cats will win.
What's a witch? It's a witch anthology. Of course, the cats are gonna win this one.
Yeah, I
it's
think
fun.
probably
That's
cats.
true. I think there's only one. No, you're right. The cats are going to win by a landslide.
Yeah, I definitely think the cats are gonna win. I'll say if you hear any noise, and why I keep looking like this is because my dog loves making noise and she loves to play. So that's what you're hearing. But let's jump into the story. So Michael, why don't you tell us about your story?
Well, my story is set in a town where everybody has to go visit a witch at least once in their lifetime. and they get exactly one wish, and they can choose to go back and ask for a second wish, but things always go very bad. And it follows a young woman who is on her way to talk to the witch for her second wish. And it doesn't really go the way any of them are expecting.
It's so crazy to see the different art styles as the stream is going on, and like how different this is compared to, you know, the previous story. And it's really cool to see in particular how striking, honestly, I would say the negative space is for this one. It's really cool.
Yeah, I loved this art style. It wasn't how I was picturing when I was writing it, but I loved it. And I feel like that's like a common experience for me whenever I'm doing a comic. It's like, this isn't what I was expecting, but I think this is great.
I'll say
I love that experience too.
I'll say usually it's usually when it comes to putting the anthologies together, to pairing up teams, we end up going in the direction that we won't expect to. Like, I didn't really picture this style when reading it, but it seemed like when we were going through artists, it was like, no, I can really see this like different from what I pictured. I love the, like Kat said, the strikingness of the negative space, the strikingness of like, you know, the use of like hot colors like red in the witch's eyes in particular. I think it really stands out in a cool way in our preview page as well. Really, really cool.
We just sound like art majors just now with the words we were just using.
Very impressed.
Very
Deeply
arts
impressed.
101, but we're as writers, I'm impressed.
We're not artists. But
I'm an English major pretending to be an art major.
There you go. Exactly. Right.
we all do. Right?
I'm an
Especially
accounting major
comics.
pretending to be an English major, pretending to be an art major. I remember when we were going through the submissions for the anthology. I remember this one out to me. I really loved how much you crammed into your 6 pages in a really great way. I love the storybook quality of, you know, this witch on the top of the hill that everybody in the town goes to. It has such a parable feel to it, that, you know, a unique parable feel to it that was really cool. And then, you know, it's grounded by this emotional story of what would drive someone to be desperate enough to go and make a wish that, you know, is going to have bad consequences. And, you know, the
Thank you.
family dynamic that ties into that. This was one of the stories that you know, was one on my, we all went in with like, I must have this list, and this is one of the stories that was on my must have list. So
thank
my
you.
you and to your co-writer.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, like the space in comics is so weird because it's like, you know, 6 pages, you feel like you can cram in so much, but then if you have 24 pages, it feels like that's not nearly enough space.
Sometimes it's a helpful challenge to have a less page space. It makes you have to be more purposeful, but then obviously with more pages, you can also leave more room for art. So
and what was it like for a 6-page story that you had to share the space, right? So writing with a co-writer as well. So what was that like?
Oh, I didn't have a co-writer.
Then why do we have 2 names on there? That's weird. That's
I
our
think
fault.
we have the page might be incorrect on that. That's,
there we go.
I think
Sorry
that's,
about that one.
No,
that's
it's
on
fine.
us.
Incorrectly.
I will fix
fine.
that. My mistake.
No, the 6 pages, I mean, obviously that was a challenge. Like, I initially got the idea for this story was a few years ago. And so that was originally going to be like a short story that would be like somewhat longer than this. But I mean, like you literally just said, it, you know, the 6 pages, it's a challenge to see, okay, what are the absolute important parts of the story? And so that's what made it. But yeah.
And what made you want to talk about this topic in particular? Like, when you saw the submission form, it's like, I need to tell this story.
Well, I mean, I originally got the idea for the story back when we were traveling through the Southwest, and we were actually just down the road from the Grand Canyon. And I was sitting outside our Airbnb one morning, staring at these like hills and these trees in the distance, and kind of thinking like, who would I find if I just walked in that direction, just kept on walking? And then that led to me thinking, what if there's a town where everyone had to, at some point in their life, go down this path to meet with someone who wasn't evil, but morally gray, let's say. And then when I saw this, your call out for this anthology, I was like, witches can be morally gray. And so I went ahead and I just followed this character to see what happens when she goes down that path.
It's very like barbarian in terms of the movie in terms of like, oh, I started with this really cool scene and then just kind of went crazy with it. And I love Barbarian, so that
I love it
an
too.
indication of the kind of stories that I love to see brought to life. No, it was really cool. I felt like I don't want to give away some of the gut punches, but I really like the results of the wish that you get to see and the kind of gut punches that you sprinkle throughout the story. It definitely felt like, it felt like a world that was lived in, that could be explored more, but also like, it feels like you're stopping in as a guest, and that's always a quality I really like, especially in a horror story, that like that lived in feel of it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Awesome. I asked this question to a couple of people who came on the stream. Now I'm going to ask you, working on this anthology, all of the teams were working individually and then kind of got to see what the anthology looked like as a whole when the Kickstarter went live. What was your impression of Witching Season, going from just kind of working on your own story to getting to see kind of the whole thing as this big combination of all these different stories?
I mean, my initial reaction is I can't wait to read this anthology. And I feel very grateful to be a part of this. And I mean that sincerely. Just like looking at the amount of talent that's in this, it's just overflowing. And just the variety of stories that is in this, I think is absolutely great.
Awesome. We love to hear that. We always try to do variety in our tones and our art styles and such. So I'm really excited for people to check it out. And definitely hope to see more of your work in the future. Like we keep plugging throughout. We always do anthologies. We love working with talented people, and really, really enjoyed this one. Any other questions from any other editors? If not, we could start to outro. Why don't you tell people where they can find you, Michael?
My main social media is Blue Sky. It sounds like that's the case.
We've been hearing the echoes, the Blue Sky.
So you can find me at Baron Author on Blue Sky. Also, please check out my website, michaelbaronauthor.com. Feel free to sign up for my monthly newsletter. I swear it's only once a month. I won't spam you. Definitely check out my stuff. You can learn more about the stuff I'm working on through my website.
Awesome.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. Lots of fun.
You.
Great talking to you.
It's good to meet you.
Right.
Take care. Bye.
Up next, we have Letting Go. We have Morgan Glennon, and we have Maxim. Thank you both so much for joining.
Hello. Well, I should mention that Morgan's also my co-host for Legendary Ladies, and in about an hour, 2 hours, we'll be doing our recording for our
all you Legendary listeners.
We'll meet again.
We will be meeting again. I'm sure, Morgan, did you remember when we were going to do the thing? It's like, wait, Kat has this 2-hour podcast beforehand?
I thought that too. I was like, Kat's going to be tired tonight.
Yeah, Kat's a little crazy, but she's been sick with COVID for a month. I know. I'm still coughing from it, so it's been great. But let's get into your story, Morgan, and then we'll go into the colors as well, which is really cool to have this dynamic, because we usually don't, usually the writer artist or artist colorist. So it's really cool to have the colorist and the writer here. But first, Morgan, why don't you tell us about your story?
Sure. Yeah, I was really excited to be able to contribute to this because I love spooky season and I love witches. And my story, Letting Go, is about a girl whose sister dies, a young witch whose sister dies, and she will kind of do anything to feel close to her sister again. And we sort of see the ways that kind of develops within the story and goes astray, perhaps, within the story. So I had a really fun time writing this one.
Awesome. So going into the coloring section, what went into the ideas for the colors for this story? What made you interested in this project?
How did you hear about this project?
So
Michelle.
The colors for this story, and here I am. So my inspiration for the colors was the work of Matt Hollingsworth in Witches, with the Y in the title. So he did this a lot of interesting textures over over the line art. So I wanted to try to do something like this, but not to get too much in the way of Laura's lines. So it's more subtle than in Matt's book.
No, we agree. We really like the texture. We like the contrast that you put throughout. It
Yeah,
really helped to bring Laura.
It's also always a fun challenge to do a different storytelling decisions in a small amount of pages or a small amount of panels. So a few years ago, I did a 7-page story just for practice, and there were no dialogue, so just line art and colors. And I still love it, how it turned out.
Oh, that's great. I love the stories where the art has to speak for itself. Morgan, on your side, let's talk about inspiration. What made you want to go in this direction? This story about grief and loss and the things you'll do to get back what you've lost. Do you have a particular reason you went that route?
Yeah, I wish I had like a really fun or exciting backstory, but when I was trying
Me
to think
asking for your tragic backstory.
Yeah, exactly, my tragic backstory. But when I was trying to think of what kind of which story I wanted to tell, I felt like there was actually so many different options, and the idea of kind of loving something so much that you can't let go, and that sort of twists the decisions and the choices that you make really appealed to me, especially when we're talking about magic. I think you see a lot of different media where they talk about, be careful what you wish for, and you can't, gone is gone, and you can't bring things back, and what happens when you try to do that. And that was kind of my inspiration for doing that. And also like the sister, I really like the idea of a sister relationship, of one person who felt like this other person was such a big part of them that when that person is gone, they don't really know what to do with themselves.
Now, your previous story you've done for us, we actually pitched to you. We're like, this is the idea. Like, what do you want to do? And this obviously you came out from the ground up. What was the different, exploration of that? Like, what was your process of like, here's a general sense of a story, let me try filling in the blanks compared to something like this?
Yeah, I think this was harder. Like when I contributed to the Bi Visibility, you kind of gave me a prompt, like, this is what we were thinking for this story. And I was like, okay, like, what can I do within that structure? And this one was like a little hard because it was an empty page, right? It was like, whatever you want to write about, pitch us a story. And then I just kind of stared at the computer and was like, oh no, there's so many things in this world that I could write about. So I think that actually this one was a little bit harder to sit down and write, because I was like, what am I gonna write? Like for days I would be like walking around being like, witches.
And for Maxism, what type of stories do you like to color usually? Is it horror? Is it different? Like, what's your favorite type of story to color?
Hard to tell. Like, I did superhero stories, I did a few horror stories. I like sci-fi stuff. Like, I did some Star Wars pages for practice. I recently finished the latest Money Short arc for Vault. So all kinds of things. So as long as it has a great team and a great art, I'm down for it.
I'm gonna pass the baton to Phil or Michelle. Michelle, go.
No. Yeah, I was just gonna say that the story's been great. I'm really glad that we were able to bring you in for colors. I think you really kind of knocked out of the park.
Speaking of art, this is also was interesting because Laura has a lot of negative space, and it's like a sandbox and playground for me to fill all this space and make it look interesting. And not very much vanilla, but more eye-catching.
No, I definitely love the way that you filled in negative space. Made it very dynamic.
Thanks.
Sorry, go ahead, Kat.
I didn't say anything.
I have to say that I was really sold right from the script phase, and it didn't let me down on the idea of the skeleton with the hair coming in. I love looking at it.
I got so excited when I saw these panels come through, because that was kind of the, you always have like one image in your head of like the
money shot.
The big, yeah, exactly, the big image, and it was going to be the skeleton with the blonde hair, and then when I saw Lars' art come through, I was like, okay, that's amazing, and then when I saw Maxim's colors, I was like, even better. It really blew me out of the water.
Thank you.
Definitely got to give a shout out to Laura Helsby. They're not here because I believe they're probably asleep over in the UK right now. But
fair, good choice.
Yeah, I think
you
middle
did
of
a
the night.
really amazing job on this.
I'm
so
in
have
Bulgaria.
to give them a
The other
shout
thing
out.
I'm in Bulgaria in
comment on that. I think if you
3:40 a.m. right now.
No way. Well, thank you.
I'm going right to the
crazy.
bed.
That's crazy. Well, thank you for coming on. They'll hold all these different time zones.
Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah. One thing I think is really interesting about this and a couple other stories is that we didn't expect when we opened submissions. There's a lot of stories about loss, in particular loss of a family member. Even just on this live stream, I think we had another 2. The last story, the Witch of Hollowed Creek, is about loss of a family member. The Abby story, the till life do us part, also is about dealing with loss. I wondered what it is about witches that made people want to explore that, and the idea of like, how do you get that back, or how do you move? How do you live? How do you find a new way to live? I thought that was interesting.
I think
how much
magic
we saw
in
it,
general.
but they're all such different.
I think it's because of the idea of magic, like this idea that it's like, oh, that's the Band-Aid, right? Like that's the thing. If like the worst thing could happen, like, can you make a magical wish to not make it happen? Then you realize in most stories, like the balance of like, you can't do that.
I think also magic. I was gonna say, I think magic is also often tied to like nature and the natural world, and what is natural and what isn't natural. And so there's probably nothing more unnatural than the idea of trying to bring somebody back from the dead.
No, completely. And it doesn't work out for, I don't think, anyone in this anthology.
It rarely does.
No.
I don't think that typically works out anytime that people try that. Not just in this book, but in media or in real life.
I'm going to find the one case where it works out, and I'm going to send it to you, Michelle, and we'll have a viewing party.
And everybody lives happily ever after.
Are you aware of a time?
Actually, it's that Riverdale movie that Alex mentioned. That's what I heard. It was the only story that ever.
It is, as I put in the comments, it is available in full on YouTube, to Riverdale and back again.
All right. I gotta put
Never heard of it, but I'm watching.
Is this like Riverdale, like the TV show? Because I would actually believe that Riverdale, the TV show, would kill somebody, have them come back, and it would be fine.
I'm sure I'm almost positive that happened.
I was about to be like, honestly, it probably happened. I think everybody was Scarlet Witch by the end.
That or Pretty Little Liars. It's happened many times on there too.
Exactly. Sometimes it's
you
fine.
Just call May.
Sometimes it does work out.
All right, we're closing out on time here. So Morgan and then Maxim, why don't you tell folks where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me as a co-host on the Legendary Ladies podcast with Kat. And you can also find me as a co-host on Supergirl Radio, which you can find everywhere at Supergirl Radio. And that's a cat.
Yay, the cats are winning tonight.
Kitty.
Oh.
Well, is there any other plugs that you'd like to give, Maxim?
Yeah, you can find me anywhere, almost anywhere with that handle you can see on the screen.
Zepkeeper.
Love it.
And
thank you, guys.
Thanks
Morgan,
so
I'll
much.
see you in 2 hours.
On YouTube, I post my time-lapse videos, and most of them have my own music in it.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Multi-talented. I love it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming.
All righty. Up next, we have Think of the Children by
Christy.
We got a team.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
All my friends today. Hi, guys.
How's it going?
It's nice to see you.
Wow.
This is a full circle moment for us because you guys were a team on our very first anthology back in whatever year that was.
Isn't that crazy? I want to
Yeah,
say
it was
it's
the
probably
first story we.
2021.
Yeah. That was the first story we did together too.
Whoa! So that's a real full circle moment.
Christy was in my first anthology too.
I just
so
really
you
love popping into people's anthologies.
As
Are they
you should.
gay? Yes, thank you.
I would like to join.
This one's not. This one's like I'm like it's not technically a gay anthology, but like yeah, it is.
I mean, you can't convince me that witches don't often like fill that space sometimes. And
There's a lot of points. A lot of points going towards it.
like
Witch, Lifeline Comics, Michelle.
Yeah, there's a few like straight people that infiltrated. They were our DEI hires for this round. It's fine.
They were.
We have to keep it well-rounded. Inclusion.
All right, let's dive in and talk about the story, Christy and Philip. Why don't you guys intro us to Think of the Children, and then we can talk about what inspired you to make this story.
Oh yeah, Philip told me I had to go first. Yeah, I love witches. I've always loved witches. My family on my mom's side, the last name is Bishop, so there's like a long line of like fascination with Bishop or fascination with witches from like that family line. But anyway, this was tough, but I love how it came together with kind of the idea starting of the pain that we can cause the people around us when we don't allow them the freedoms that we don't allow ourselves either, and setting it in like a really repressive time in American history in the 1950s. So the story follows this kind of hysterical suburban town as people start to vanish, and they blame this doctor, this woman who they accuse of being a witch, because after these people go to see her, they tend to flee this tiny oppressive town. But that's the short version.
The short version. I think we first I'll let Philip say what do you want to say about it if you have anything.
I think Christy summarized it really well. It is kind of playing with a lot of our narrative loves of 1950s and 60s. Queer love and horror, and then finding a way to marry all of them together was a really fun challenge. And Michelle and I talked about it before, of all the iterations as we were trying to figure out what to do. We were constantly coming back to like, but is it scary? Is it horrific? And it took quite a bit of different stories to find one that we could tell that was both personal and relevant, and also like really horrific.
You guys definitely found that balance. There's one page in particular that I'm not going to show because you got to buy the book to see it, but it really captures the horror and the discord of the community, and it's like such a beautiful page in terms of.
I think you know which page it is.
I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about.
I think it's the one that you were like, oh God, why did I do this to myself? It's that page, I think. Just to clarify, I know that means something to you when I say it. It's the oh God, why did I do this to myself page. Yeah.
And I'm sure anyone who reads the book when it comes out after this Kickstarter will know exactly what page we're talking about too. But you guys
it's one of those things when you're both writing and drawing, because Christy and I wrote this together. I got to drawing it and I was like, why did I do this to myself? It's like, I think there's 16 panels on that page, 12 panels, something. Way too many
panels.
But damn it, it works.
It works really well. So I'm glad that you did that to yourself so that I could see it. So thank you.
And it is scary. I feel like that was, I had it in my head, like an idea of what would happen, but everything Philip rendered on the page was so cool. And, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but seeing Philip really like stretch themselves a little bit and try some funky things that they haven't necessarily tried before is so fun and such a joy for something so spooky, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really want to shout out the colors in particular. I think it's absolutely like some of the best use of tones that I've seen. Really turned out beautiful. Such a unique looking story. So major compliments, Philip.
Oh, thank you.
guys
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, if you guys are curious, my lights went out for some reason.
Spooky.
Go on.
No, as we were communicating with Michelle about the thing, she kept saying like, like push yourself, go crazy, go weird over and over again. And I was like, okay, apparently I'm just not weird enough for Michelle. No, that wasn't it.
Nobody
it was, all right, what can we do experimental? Yeah, and it was all an experiment. Every page was an experiment. But by the end, I was like, oh, this turned out pretty cool. So I'm glad I had the space and the push to do it.
I think that just like one of my favorite things as an editor is working with people that I've either worked with before or have gotten to know as creators. And sometimes like when you get to know people, like who they are versus what it is that they're creating, you're like, I feel like you could be a little bit weirder on the page. So it's kind of like sometimes you can, if you allow people, if you sort of like tell them to be a little more untethered to what people are expecting of them, maybe they take chances that they wouldn't take because they trust the people making the project. And I think like, especially with working with publishers, you can't always get unhinged, or you can't just decide to step outside the box because you don't have that type of relationship yet with the people that you're working with. So you're not sure if you can step outside of those boxes. So I think like a really cool thing about anthologies and about crowdfunded projects and independent comics in general is that you find people that you can trust to act a little unhinged with. So I think like, I'm really glad that you stepped up and took opportunities to like push your work in a different direction, because I think it's really cool to like look at it because it's amazing. And I think when people back the book and get a look at this, they're really going to be delighted by the sexy cable guy doing something kind of different.
Honestly, calling Philip the sexy cable person is probably like the biggest compliment they've ever received. So.
It's true.
I love that.
I
just like the 1950s. I was gonna say I like the 1950s vibe, but that was the thing. I was like, oh, that's so much fun, you know.
I think by coincidence, this anthology sprawls a lot of time. Even on this live stream, we saw prehistory stories. We saw 1950s. We saw like fantasy, like parallel worlds. We saw modern day. So it was cool to get to stop in a lot of different time periods.
And I probably have to apologize to Philip for this because I love doing something period because I love the research. First of all, I love like, you know, getting my little folder together of like, you know, how people were dressing and what things were made out of and what homes would look like and like what neighborhoods would look like and, you know, Sears manufactured homes and stuff like that. But I just also love the specificity, I think, of period stuff. I think just having to be able to like just ground something in a time or space that people are, you know, at least in the US would immediately be recognizable, and the ideas and the assumptions that we already have about that time, and then both playing with those assumptions and subverting them in ways of like, you know, like, oh yeah, the beautiful 1950s housewife that is getting a little hot and heavy with the other beautiful 1950s housewife is just like something that is so fun for me to be able to do. So sorry for all the period stuff, Philip.
No, it was fun. I did a book with David Duchovny a couple of years ago, which is like 1960s Neanderthals. So I just, I had like this, I bring it up because no one read the book too. So I'm like, go out, check it out.
He took that book on a late night show. You be quiet.
It's on my bookshelf in my other office. It's in the other room. I have it, actually. I bought it from you directly. So I don't want to hear it.
No, I appreciate that. No, but I had like all these folders of reference, and it was really fun to sit down and break things apart and then I looked at Don't Worry Darling a lot, even though it's not exactly a period piece. It has period aesthetics. I also promised Michelle that the main character would look a little Florence Pugh-like. So
we like to just hurt my feelings all the time. It's fine. I've been rewatching X-Files a lot, so I have a lot of feelings about
you and me gotta talk
right now. Like,
I can't find anyone to talk to about X-Files. So
I just Mulder, it's me. It's all I hear in my head. I feel like just on loop. Mulder, it's me. Mulder, it's me. Just all day, just on loop. Like everywhere I turn, that's all I've got. But it's a good book. I read it. Casually. David Duchovny.
No, my favorite thing about that whole thing is he's literally the nicest like dad in the world. Just the sweetest, kindest, most creative guy. And I was like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Amazing.
Amazing. Awesome. Why don't you guys tell folks where they can find you?
I'm pretty easy to find. If you actually want me to, get to know me, I'm on Blue Sky at Christy Porter, and my website is christyporter.com, so that keeps it really easy. I might look very different depending on when you happen to see me and when you happen to go to my social media. I'm a cosplayer, so there's many iterations of me, but yeah, that's probably the best way to track me down.
Yeah, you can find me in Blue Sky at Philip Seavey, and then Instagram is Philip Seavey Comic Art. And I have a website, philipseavey.com, but I haven't touched it in like 4 years, so I really need to update it because Squarespace is hella expensive, and I don't do anything with it.
Well, go check out all that stuff. Right, exactly. Call to action. Thank you guys so much for coming on. And I hope to see you guys in another gay anthology.
I hope so. Yeah, we could do gay horror next time.
We're always looking for some gay horror.
I'm like, text me or something, okay? Just text me.
Love you.
Love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, those were our last guests. So now each of the editors also has a story that they wrote or lead wrote.
The gloves are off now, right? What a slog. What's going on, guys?
I hope my power doesn't go out while I'm talking about Witches of Oz.
Well, if you do, you have a co-writer who can take over. But,
that's true. That is true. That's true.
Kick Kat out. This is boys club now.
Kat.
Goodbye, Kat.
Get out of my own channel.
Get out of your own channel.
All right, Kat, why don't you talk about the Witches of Oz short story that's in the anthology?
Yeah, so we try to do a short for every anthology that is related to our other properties because we do feel like it helps people to get into an anthology maybe they're on the fence with. So we're like, if you need a push, which you shouldn't, for witching season, we have The Witches of Oz, which is one of our more popular series. And obviously with Wicked coming out, we have a lot of reason to check out Glinda and the Wicked Witch. Now, this story in particular, obviously with all our short stories, we try to not make it so involved that you have to buy this story to understand the main series. But we wanted to do something special that we hadn't tackled in the past, and that is Margot's sister, who we call Charlotte here. And we learn a little bit about her powers, how Glinda. Yes, I will never say what direction they are because I don't know any of their directions. I just know they are a wicked witch of something. And if Phil tells me what direction they go in, that's the co-writer part.
I'll say for me in particular, as someone who grew up obsessed with the Wizard of Oz and always thought the Wicked Witch of the East was such like a interesting off-screen character and like what's her deal, and then obviously as a Wicked fan and getting to see that interpretation, I always wanted to find out who the Wicked Witch of the East was in our story, and this seemed like a really good opportunity to do a past story where we kind of get to meet her and see the dynamic with our
You've
Wicked
been
Witch.
wanting to tell this for a very long time. I want to say since issue 1, you're like, I want to tell this story. I want to tell this story. And somehow I was the lead writer for this. I don't know how that happened, but I was the lead writer
I think
for
in
this
the moment,
one.
like I had been writing a lot of our joint stuff, and we were like, "Oh, it makes sense for you to be the lead writer." And then after the fact, I had an existential crisis. But
you did, and we'll talk about that after. Yeah, this also is the story where Glinda and Margot first meet. So if you want to know their origin story, is really fun. And I like seeing this kind of anti-hero Margot as well, that she is not a fully bad person. She obviously does not want to see this pretty blonde girl trapped, and she has to go up against some people you might notice, like Mombi, who's an Ozma, and may go up against people that she's known her all her life to do the right thing.
The Wicked Witch of the North.
Don't even. I don't know where she's from, but I do know she's a witch and that she's an
I'm gonna
Ozma.
buy you a little compass that has each of the witches on it.
Like, wait,
make her like a little murder board with like the yarn. Like
real.
We have like one board that's like not a chalkboard, but like one of those whiteboards that our friend gave us, and we used it once. And after that, we never used
We like Excel. We're Excel people, so that's where we organize our stuff.
Love a spreadsheet.
Yeah. We do. We love our spreadsheet. I'm sorry. Lenny is barking at her bed right now. So if you're curious what she's barking at, it's her bed. So, but yeah, that's
tired.
You would think she'd sleep in it, but she plays with it. She brings it
throwing.
around the house. I'll have to show you a video one day. She puts it on top of her head and she brings it around the house. I'm like, don't you want to sleep in that thing? She sleeps on the couch. Don't worry. She's a pretty princess. She doesn't need a bed. But yeah, that is the story. If you guys have questions, let me know. But that's pretty much the log line of it all without spoiling anything. Oh, I should mention this is Michaela, who is the artist we've had in other anthologies. This is her first story on Witches of Oz, but she is the new artist for Witches of Oz. So if you like this, she'll be on issue 3 of Witches of Oz, which will be on Kickstarter in less than a month, or maybe exactly a month. I want to say less than a month.
Honestly, it's less than 3 weeks, so you'll be seeing her.
Don't say that.
I know. We got some gearing up we got to do for that, but really excited for everyone to see that. Awesome. All right. Next, we're going to talk about The Fall of the Devourer, which is the story that I solo
Which
wrote.
I do want to mention, I pushed Phil to do because he's like, I don't know if I want to tell the story. We already have witches. And I'm like, but you've been begging. You wanted this anthology. He's like, yeah, I know. I like the fall and I like how the leaves change. I'm like, then tell it. So I don't want to. I don't know. And then you're like, okay.
Yeah, she hard bullied me. She broke out Michelle's ruler and started hitting me and was like, just do it. Just we made this was the last addition to the anthology. We curated the whole book. It was 150 pages. We went through the submission process, and then like we teased earlier, I had a little existential crisis where I was like, oh, I really like how the witches story turned out, but I'm bummed I didn't actually write something for the anthology, since I was the one who was like, oh, we got to do a witch anthology. I love witches. And Kat was like, oh no, just tell the story you're most passionate about. I was like, I don't know. And I always say I love the fall. It's my favorite season. I love witchy fall,
which is sad because we don't even have a fall in New York anymore. It's so sad. But we took a drive, I think into Baltimore, and you were seeing the leaves change, and you're like, I like that.
I do like that. It's my favorite time of year, both in feeling and in visuals. And we've had a couple of days that are kind of fallish, but it really does skip right from summer to winter. So in New York a lot of the time, but I really wanted to tell a story about the fall, and what ended up being born out of that was this 4-page story that's illustrated by Rio Burton about a fall witch, quote unquote, who is trapped in this cycle of the seasons changing. And the story explores the idea of like, oh, why do the seasons change? And how does that tie into like magic, and magic as like a natural resource that is depleted gradually throughout the year. And, it's poetic. I try to every once in a while, I like to break out the poetry hat a little bit and write something that's.
You also wrote the siren song in Little Mermaid, if you were curious.
Yeah, Little Mermaid book. I wrote the siren song. So every once in a while, I like to stretch that muscle a little bit. So I tried to be a bit more like lyrical in the narration of this story and treat it kind of like a poem meets like a parable. And I'm really not that one. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's one of my favorite things I've written. I like that it's a tight 4-page or 2, because I didn't want to balloon the budget for this expensive book any more than it already was. And I think Rio did such a fantastic job. I think the story itself transitions through the seasons, which I think is really cool. We start in this really summery setting that gives way to fall, and then by the end of the story, we've landed in winter. And again, just for whatever reason, when I think witches, I always think of the fall first, probably because of like Halloween. But like, I wanted that to be present in the anthology, and I'm very glad that Kat hit me with the ruler and said, you got to make that happen.
I should mention, and I don't think this is a false memory, I believe Rio had a story that was similar to another story, and then we actually got Rio on board because of that.
Yeah,
which was really
Rio
cool.
had applied. Rio, the artist on this story, Rio Burton, had applied with a script that, if I remember correctly, was about like hunting a witch, and it was a really cool story. But we had something that was similar, and
maybe it was a silent story, and we had another something like that.
It was
There
silent.
was just
I
something
think we had
similar.
2 other
Yeah.
silent stories, and we really like your story. And then after Kat pushed me to put this story, I was like, oh, I really like Rio's art. Let's see if maybe they would want to work on this. And it was a great collaboration. Like they brought a lot of really cool ideas to the story as well. So it's serendipity that it worked out the way it did.
All right, so
I
I think
really
we
love
are
the
on.
pages. It's really beautiful. So I'm really happy that you got your shit together, Phil.
I am too. I think he might have froze, but
Yeah,
right at the
dude.
end too.
We lost him.
after
In the
a
end, it was
compliment.
Phil that we lost.
Exactly. He couldn't be part of Kamaguno anymore. Yeah, he's still moving. He's still moving and grooving, but he's not
Am I
he's
back?
not
He
there
doesn't
anymore.
know.
You're
Oh, there
back
he
now,
is.
yeah.
Welcome back.
I don't know what
Welcome
happened
back.
there, but Well, speaking of getting our shit together, let's talk about Michelle's story.
That's a very pointed comment, and I will tell on myself really quick. My script was the last one to come in because I was. I'm like, I mean this in the nicest way. I was so busy with everybody else's script and getting everything else together to make this book happen that I neglected my own creativity in finishing.
Stop working and work.
Mine. Yes, that's I think a big common theme in comics is stop working so that you can work. By we, I mean most of the people I know in comics talk a lot about what it would be great to take a vacation from the work that you have to do, specifically just to do the work that you want to do. And
even when you have your own company, that happens. Like that even happens. Like when you literally are running your own business, you're like, oh, I want to write. Like there's a story that we have that's been in the holster for like a year now. Like I want to really write that thing, but it's just like not the time, you know?
Like I think like this did come in quite late, so that's on me. But it is a story that exists, a story that I wrote. It's a script that exists, and it's it will be in the book. I feel like I'm talking like Ron Swanson when he's avoiding talking about this.
Very much talking like Ron Swanson.
At least I get that reference. I watched all of 30 Rock, but the way you guys reference 30 Rock is
this is
like
Parks and Recreation, Kat.
She's saying she
no,
gets.
Yeah, I like Rock. Yeah, I get Parks and Recreation. Yeah,
but she doesn't get our 30 Rock references.
Yeah.
This might be my favorite thing I've ever written, but it also probably is like one of, if not the saddest thing I've ever written. This is actually the less sad version, which I think is funny. If you think about when you read it, when you back the book and eventually get to read this, I think it's a little sad, but it's also kind of beautiful. It's about a witch who it's difficult to talk about it without totally giving it away. She's kind of experiencing some negative side effects to moonlight and kind of dealing with that alone in her own way. And meets there's a mysterious woman who lives in the forest that she retreats to, and one thing sort of leads to another, and it's all pretty tragic, gay, and doomed.
It is very sad. So I didn't get to read the even sadder version, so I can only imagine.
Nobody did, don't worry. But the art is really beautiful. Everything that I've seen is amazing. Bailey's doing an amazing job. Definitely like the only choice for this. So yeah, I'm really excited for everyone to take a look at the finished story. Yeah, I have a difficult time talking about my writing. I could talk about my editing all day if you want. We could talk about anybody else's story, but when it comes down to things that I make for myself, I just I turn it into like a reclusive little cryptid, and I like crawl back into my cave. It's easier.
Well, I mean,
you did a good
you're
job.
definitely not the only one who feels that way, but it's a beautiful story. We're really glad it made it into the anthology. It was the last script we got, but it was worth the wait.
I offered to cut it. I tried to cut it down.
We did, and we said no. We were like, you're telling a story. You put all the work into the anthology. You have a story you want to tell, and I'm glad that you made it happen.
And I had cut the script to 6 as a funny little Easter egg, and I cut the story to 6, and I let a friend read it, Fellhound, who's a friend of mine, other comic writer, artist. I let her read it just to be like, hey, does this make sense? And she was like, I feel like you need 2 more pages. And I was like, God, because I really tried to cut it from 8 to 6. And she was basically like, this would be great if it just had 2 more pages right here. And I was like, yeah, that's what I cut. So yeah, I'll just put it back. So
it worked out, and it deserves the 8 pages. So very excited for people to read it.
Yeah. So I guess
you might be hearing
anthology.
Yes, back the anthology. I was gonna say if I hope you don't hear any background noise. There's messages going on. But yes, back the anthology. We have a link. Michelle, where can everyone find you?
I am mostly on Blue Sky at Cereal Pancake, like the 2 breakfast foods, because I like breakfast. Or Instagram I like pancakes.
It's always pancake involved.
I think that's pretty much it. That's where I hang out. Blue Sky mostly.
Well, you have something new that people can check out now.
I do. I have a newsletter now that I've been avoiding putting out for about 2 years, but here we are.
We've
I
always
have a
heard.
newsletter on Beehive, which is a cute little platform. You can get there in my link tree, which is linked on all of my other social media. So it's really easy to find. It's just Serial Pancake on Blue Sky, and that'll have my link tree to all the things. Yeah, this is my first book this is the first book that I started working on with Lifeline. It's not the first one that was released, but it is the first one I started. We've been working on this for the better part of an entire year at this point, and it's been really great working with Kat and Phil. I'm going to talk like you're not sitting in the room with me basically at this point. It's been really fun working together. I think we all kind of bring a bit of a different perspective to projects, but we all tend to agree with each other for the most part. And I think it's been, at least for me, really great working with them. And yeah, I hope,
and vice versa,
you know, hoping that this funds so that we can all stress out a little bit less. Funds quickly. I know it'll fund. But we have a lot of really cool stuff in the pipeline coming up with horror and with the Deathline imprint at Lifeline, and really, really, really excited to like be really kicking stuff off with this book. And I hope that everyone will back it and check it out so that we can show you like what we can bring to the conversation in terms of horror comics and like queer-led comics. So thanks.
Thank you for that outro. I think Michelle said it best. So check out Witching Season. It's live for another 3 weeks, and you know, we got lots of surprises in store. I think we decided, and then never talked about it again, that we're going to pick one random person in this chat to get something for free if they're a backer of this Kickstarter. So yeah, check your DMs. So we'll do that after this. Thank you so much for listening. Support the Kickstarter if you haven't already, and keep an eye out for our future stuff. We have another anthology that closes submissions tomorrow for women's sports. We'll be opening submissions for our anthology for June next year, probably in December or January. So always doing anthologies.
Yes.
This is Comic Uno.
This has been Comic Uno. All of us, the three of us, Comic Trace.
I'm just Kat. Thank you guys. Subscribe,
Thanks,
do the
guys.
thing, and you know, definitely back this Kickstarter. All right. Bye guys.
Bye.